Hey guys, how we doing? Been a while, but we're doing a reaction video to Clyde, used to be known as Clyde the Weeaboo. Should my guy have died against Madara? I personally feel like he should have, because it would have added some emotional kind of like weight to the whole series, because he was introduced in such an epic way back in part 1 with Lee and Gaara, and the way he interfered with... which fight was it? But anyway, he's always been introduced as like a really epic guy, and then his fight with Madara was just so amazing. It was sad when Neji died. I thought like it would have been cool for like my guy to be dead. Naruto comes in, carries him over, looks at Madara, and then just like boom. I think something like that would have been better. But anyway, I don't know what Clyde's going to do with this video. Let's see what he has to say. If you're a Naruto fan, hit that subscribe button.
Apart from the introduction of Madara Uchiha into the series of Naruto, my guy has got to have one of the greatest entrances I've ever seen when we first see him in the Chunin exams, where Rock Lee challenges Sasuke to a sparring match, which then turns into Sasuke getting Eugened in front of Naruto and Sakura. Straight after this, we see the glorious Might Guy in
Hell
full
yeah,
action.
look at him
I
go.
think many will agree that part 1 of Naruto just has a certain aesthetic, vibe, and seriousness to it that Shippuden
more
only
tense.
replicates in certain instances. This feeling of cutthroatness.
Yeah, you feel like people are going to die in the first part of Naruto.
These factors make everything feel like the cast can actually die in most
There we go.
situations. The
I know what I'm
characters
talking
feel
about.
somewhat relatable, and there are no Dragon Ball Z ki blasts going off in the distance.
Yeah.
Yet. We go from the Land of Waves straight to one of the most iconic arcs in Shonen Jump magazine, the Chunin exams, where we are introduced to the Konohara 11, various villains, and some of the greatest fights in the series.
Oh my god, yes.
Considering the Land of Waves arc with Haku and Zabuza is not only my favourite arc, but one many other Naruto fans consider my favourite arc too, it's still crazy to me the amount of respect that Sasuke gives to Might Guy instantly from seeing him flash across the room after he had just recently witnessed what an out-of-prime Kakashi can do against Zabuza and Haku. All three of those being some very top-tier elite shinobi at the very start of the story. If you notice in this scene, Sasuke is the only one that can track Guy's movements at all, and it really just hammers in how impressive he is out of the gate. Yet still, he doesn't really do anything at all in part 1 of Naruto, apart from a short tussle with Itachi Uchiha, where it's shown that he's actually a great matchup when it comes to fighting someone of the Uchiha clan.
Anyone that does the Sharingan
at that stage in the story due to their visual prowess being such an impressive thing at the time. Might Guy straight out of the gate is constantly always compared to Kakashi in strength.
They're rivals.
Not only because he actually refers to the rivalry that they have, but it's just all the time shown that Kakashi and him are around the same level, which is really interesting because it gives a great first impression of Might Guy, like I said with the Sasuke scene, where Sasuke can actually evaluate just from seeing him that this dude is a top tier threat in the series. This ultra serious yet goofy character is probably one of the coolest characters that Masashi Kishimoto ever made in the series of Naruto. A man who mysteriously looks a lot like Bruce Lee and is only able to use hand-to-hand combat. A man who teaches his son Jet Li how to fight and attain the 8 gates. A man who the data books actually state would most likely cheat on you in a relationship for the power of youth because he feels like that it would make him feel old to settle down. A man who is the complete polar opposite to Kakashi Hatake, someone who is very calm, quiet, and has 1,000 plans for 1,000 different situations. Might Guy is bombastic, charismatic, and according to Danzo, too nice to join the Anbu Black Ops. He kind of has this PE teacher vibe to him where I wouldn't doubt that he actually probably prefers working out over sex. I still recall reading the initial chapters of the 8 Gates Guy versus Madara fight where we had finally got to see the 8 Gates and what it can do, a technique which was shrouded in mystery and hyped up since part 1 of Naruto around 10 years before it actually happened in the manga. We finally get to see it, and I remember going to high school the day after he hit Madara under the ground, and I was still sitting there in class hyped for the entire day because of how shocked I was about the strength of the 8 gates. To Naruto fans,
I was so excited to read that manga panel when I got back.
Watching Goku go Super Saiyan for the first time, only that whenever a character uses this specific technique, they die after using it.
Yeah.
Or so we thought.
That's what was meant to happen.
When reading shonens, the worst part about them, especially when it comes to them having these war arcs, is that there is hardly ever any, death the main part of a war. The series Bleach actually suffered quite a lot because of this, where Byakuya Kuchiki was killed off in a
that's the
pretty
1000 Year
amazing
Blood
way,
War
which
video
complements
from
his
Retro
character,
Rhino.
his
Cool.
development throughout the whole series, and he goes from absolute edgelord 101 to asking Ichigo, the same guy who never seen eye to eye with him at the start of the series, he puts his pride to the side and asks Ichigo to protect the Soul Society. Now, for those of you who've never seen Bleach, this might not sound like a big deal, but it was absolutely huge at the time, and thanks to the Japanese fans doing everything from angry letters, hateful tweets, and even death threats in some instances, Mr. Byakuya Kuchiki was brought back into the series. This is an issue that is incredibly bad for shonen manga, where death itself isn't as common as, say, a seinen manga, where shonen still need to sort of keep a smidgen of childishness to them and some innocence in a way, though this then directly goes on to affect some straight-up good storytelling, and it's a shame that it has such an influence on these shonen stories. When you watch or reread the Might Guy and Madara fight, it's as clear as day that Might Guy was actually going to die here in the story. Kishimoto set up the dinner table, he put down the 5-star spaghetti bolognese, played some nice restaurant music, in the background, bit of that elevator time music, only for all of us to have to leave halfway through eating our food due to a fire alarm going off. Minato says, "No, you mustn't, Guy. Think it over. Not one person here wishes for that. Not even your father would," and then it cuts out. "No, but I desire it. Please, don't look at me like that. This time you sit back.
This was so epic. It was like, the build up and then wop wop wop.
Nowadays, in matches against that elite genius Kakashi, we're nearly even. I want to prove that even a person who can't use ninjutsu or genjutsu can still become a splendid ninja. That's your shinobi path, isn't it? It's a great goal, one that's really worth fighting for. It's the path you chose, so have faith and follow it. Become such a strong fighter that I can just sit back and enjoy the show." Madara then notes to himself, his chakra is spreading toward the Death Gates node. After all of this, we see a flashback to when Might Guy was a child, where he and his father, Might Guy, are seen training together, and this showcases the birth of Might Guy's philosophy on how important the power of youth is. You see, just like Might Guy and Rock Lee, Might Guy can neither use genjutsu or ninjutsu too. Might Guy's story is honestly really incredibly depressing when you read back on it. A man in the same position as Guy and Rock Lee, though, is constantly mocked by his own village. From anything to random women thinking that he's abusing Might Guy, or random jonin walking past actually mocking him for being a, quote, eternal genin. Regardless of every interaction that he has in these situations and all these people mocking him, his only reaction is as followed: "Thanks for your support." After the jonin do this to Might Guy, Might Guy throws a rock at these jonin only to get beat up and put in hospital. The dialogue in this scene of the manga is incredibly motivating to read. "Guy, why'd you do such a thing? Father, how can you stay so positive and optimistic? When does one's youth come to an end?" Might Guy responds, "As long as you never turn your back against youth, it never ends." Guy responds, "Then your youth doesn't come to an end when you die, question mark? Come on, Guy, that is when youth climaxes, when it burns brightest. You're crazy, father. Youth doesn't matter a whit when you die. You can believe in it until you die, but there's no guarantee you'll win against someone strong, like what happened to me today. True victory isn't about winning against someone strong. It's about defending what's important to you." Might Guy responds, "I just wanted to defend this youth you keep mentioning." After this interaction between the two in hospital, you see a manga panel of them hugging, and then it skips to the next scene where Might Guy is training Might Guy and showing him how to use the 8 inner gates. He says as followed, "As a genin, I trained day after day, and finally grasped this unique jutsu after 20 years. This is the one move that I can pass down to you as your father, and it shall become a most special jutsu to you. Special question mark, you become a splendid shinobi, but I shall impose one strict condition upon the use of this move. A self-rule." It's then shown that Might Guy and his father are facing off against the 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist, and finally follows up on that self-rule. "I've got the gate of death, I can open it and unleash the 8 inner gates formation. But that's the self-rule. Now's the time." We then see a manga panel of Might Guy about to face off against Madara, where it says, "Open 8 inner gates formation to protect something precious enough to give your life for." You see, the purpose of this form is that whether or not Kishimoto really did want to have Guy die, I think it's quite cemented that he was going to die in this scene, but whether or not, the purpose of this whole fight is to show you about fighting for what's important.
Yeah.
Making a sacrifice for the future and for those things that you care about. One of my guy's actual mottos was in the series was, be stronger than you were yesterday, which is one of the most motivating quotes when I actually look back on it and think about it. Like, yeah, be stronger than you were yesterday. You can always improve no matter what. And that's followed by him wanting the next generation to always be better than the last, which is another on-running thing in Naruto when it comes to the themes of the series. The next generation is always meant to be better than the previous one. And this is why he is so focused on protecting Rock Lee and showing what he can do on his final steps. Madara then says, red vapor. The blood vapor that's peculiar to all 8 gates being opened. Madara also says, heh, but actually seeing it with my own eyes, it's the color of dead autumn leaves that have fallen off their tree. Might Guy responds, you're not wrong, but they're not just falling for no reason or purpose. They are to become the nourishment for fresh green leaves. I realize that there's a lot of people out there who would be genuinely sad if Might Guy was to die in the story of Naruto, just like I'm sure there were a lot of people that were very upset when Byakuya Kuchi was going to be killed off in Bleach. But the thing that you need to realize at the end of the day when you look at these characters is you can write them amazingly, but what you do with them at the end is what matters the most. The character that I can relate this to the most is the way that Tite Kubo didn't milk Ukiura Siffa in Bleach. The way he was killed off was the moment that he realized what a heart was. The moment that Might Guy should have died in the story of Naruto was the moment where he was passing on his youth to Rock Lee and showing that no matter what age you are, if you die for what you believe in, that's all that matters. The power of youth isn't stopped by death, but the way that he shows himself fighting to the death to represent that was the main purpose of that philosophy from his father. At that moment in the story, Might Guy had made up his mind. We finally got to see the 8 gates, and this was going to be the moment where he would pass away in the story, and everything would be left onto Rock Lee if the story was to continue. The reason why it's so bad to have Naruto come in there and revive him with his new Jesus powers is because it makes that entire fight and underlying narrative to the fight itself absolutely irrelevant. If Naruto had have arrived sooner with his new powers, the fight wouldn't even be special at all whatsoever, because it would have been 7 Gates Guy, Kakashi, Naruto and Sasuke all fighting Madara at once. There would have been nothing special about it whatsoever. Another issue to look at with Might Guy being revived in the way that he was that what's left for him, because when you see him in Boruto, he's just a cripple.
This is what I was going on about to you. It annoys me that they didn't do anything with him anyway.
A character who was passionate about youth until the very last punch that he threw, be turned into a cripple, and that's the only thing we see of him. There was no point to bring him back into the story, and there was no point to keep him alive. To me, is something that makes me think, was it Kishimoto's decision, or was it Shonen Jump saying to him, hey, keep him alive, he's a fan favourite, we should keep him in the story.
And then just do nothing with him afterwards, though.
Nice. Kill off Might Guy here, I feel like this would have been one of the greatest deaths in the entire series. One of the most respectful ways that he made Might Guy go out of the story. It would have been amazing in my opinion. I was really hoping that this would be where he would die. Once again,
it was incredible to read, and then it's just
He had his final speech. He passed on the torch to Rock Lee. That's all that needed to be done. I'll say this once more. One of the worst parts about war in Shonen Jump manga is that death itself, the most common thing in what a war is never persistent at all whatsoever.
Well, that was, I liked that video. I didn't know what to expect from that, but yeah, I do agree with, like, I've not agreed with Clyde in the past with his videos, but that one I'm totally on board with. Excuse me. Yeah, Guy should have died, because, like, the whole thing was, like, I'm passing on to you guys now, and then, no, asshole, you're back in the game. So, yeah, that's that. Thank you guys very much for watching. What did you guys think of that? What do you guys think of this? Click like, subscribe if you haven't already, leave comments down below. Let me know what I should watch and discuss in future videos. And I'll see you guys, next time.